The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Can 4,000-year-old financial advice be of any use today? Meet Arcad, the poor scribe who became what this title proclaims, the richest man in Babylon. Fictitious Arcad shares his gems of wisdom in parables set in his time, and these gems are amazingly applicable in modern-day America. This classic is not your typical financial read, but the advice has stood the test of changing times. George S. Clason first published The Richest Man in Babylon in 1926. The book shares ways to build wealth, the 7 cures, and ways to invest wealth, the 5 laws of gold. These can be distilled down to several very useful and relevant principles. Basically, the content can speak to you wherever you are on your financial journey, whether you are just beginning to build wealth or trying to successfully protect and grow what you have. The first point in both the cures and the laws is to save. Arcad calls it paying yourself. Having to pay expenses to others is like being enslaved to them. Money you save is your freedom. Picture 10 coins going into your purse, 9 going out to pay others, and 1 staying to fatten your purse. This is savings. The idea is to save 10% of everything you earn. One reason to save is to protect yourself from lack during times of stress like job loss, illness, and eventually old age. This admonition calls for what today we would call an emergency fund and retirement plan, as well as various types of insurance coverages. The idea is not to get caught off guard and unable to take care of yourself or your family. Some kinds of stress are unforeseen, like unexpected illness or a pandemic, but the wise person prepares for these surprises. Retirement, on the other hand, is foreseeable, and planning for retirement should be done in a timely and consistent manner. About the 90% that you spend on expenses, Arcad advises that you know the difference between what you need and what you desire. The human tendency, similar even 4,000 years ago evidently, is to match spending to income regardless of what is necessary and what is a luxury. Thus, the more you make, the more expenses seem to grow. If you buy a boat, for example, it isn't long before you need new water skis, somewhere to store your boat, and a more powerful motor. A cabin at the lake would be convenient too. Then, when the inevitable repair bill for the boat comes, you count that repair as a necessity. You have to fix your boat, of course. But honestly, the boat and all the expenses tied to it are desires, not needs. With current access to credit, Arcad's advice has never been more relevant. You can appear very wealthy, but be enslaved by the things you thought would bring you satisfaction. Not only is debt emotionally stressful, but when it gets out of hand, the luxuries you are trying to pay off are difficult to enjoy. You lose personal freedom. Your time and energy need to be focused on working as much as possible to reduce your debt. Therefore, living within your means and distinguishing between needs and wants are great gems of wisdom. Arcad offers much advice about investing. Interestingly, he encourages not just investing the money you earn, but investing in yourself. Increase thy ability to earn. Today, this is called professional development or continuing education. Arcad advises to stay within your circle of competency, but always be willing to enlarge that circle. Seek ways to improve and expand your craft or specialty. Warren Buffett is a great example of doing this. One of the world's 10 richest people, Buffett invested in companies he understood and built long-term relationships with them. Because he didn't understand technology well, he was hesitant to invest in dot-com industries until his understanding grew. Growing your wisdom is an investment worth making. Of course, investing financially is the focus of most of Arcad's advice, and the idea of making your money work for you is paramount. Today we call this passive income. Examples are real estate, rentals, and royalties. Passive income isn't work-free. Opportunities that provide the possibility of passive income are often front-loaded in terms of work. Perhaps you buy a distressed property and invest time and money into rehabilitating it. Then you manage it. It can either bring in long-term income as a rental, or it could be sold for immediate profit to reinvest. Money can be invested in a number of ways. Arcad insists that you should work toward owning your home rather than renting, reinforcing the idea of not being enslaved by payments and having potential for passive income. Establishing a business in your home is a worthy extension of this idea. Beyond your home, investment should be made with the advice of experts and with a long-term outlook. Avoid alluring advice of tricksters and schemers. You shouldn't trust those who promote get-rich-quick strategies, especially if they are out of your area of expertise. However, you should be ready for great opportunities. Be ready and willing to make sacrifices to take advantage of an opportunity when your own research and the wise advice of others concur. Don't miss lucky breaks. In fact, when you are diligent and dedicated, Arcad hints that you can expect some luck to come your way. He criticizes those who are lazy and whine about all the others who got the lucky breaks or are born into good fortune. Rather, he says that luck favors those who are astute, aware of opportunities, and ready to act. Perhaps the key words here are action and opportunity. Seize the day. He warns against missing great opportunities through procrastination or lack of preparation. Again, Warren Buffett is a good example. While he humbly admits he got a lot of unearned opportunities, many just because of the time and place of his birth, there is no doubt that he seized each opportunity presented. In 1946, for example, when he bought a rickety pinball machine for $25, he didn't play it himself or have pinball contests with his friends. Instead, he and a friend fixed it up and made a deal to split the profits, a nickel per game, with the local barber. He allowed them to put the pinball machine in the back of the shop so people could play while they waited for haircuts. Within a week, Buffett had made enough to buy a second pinball machine. He immediately sought another barber. He describes this opportunity as the way he built his first empire. George S. Clason used the character of Arcad from ancient Babylon as a creative vehicle for savvy financial wisdom. Today, while you probably aren't trading camels, it sounds quite appealing to have your investments multiply, even as the flocks of the field. Thank you so much for watching yet another video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support will help us continue pushing out great content. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again.